I was 18 years old, 6 months pregnant, and my parents threw me out into the snow like I was garbage. They said I was a disgrace, a burden, that I'd ruin their reputation in our perfect little Minnesota suburb. My older sister, she had a baby at 19, unemployed, living rent-free under their roof. But me, I was the problem. I begged them. I told them I had someone who loved me, someone who would take care of us. They didn't even ask who he was. They just didn't care. 10 years later, my daughter posted a photo on social media, just an innocent picture from her private school. My sister saw it, and suddenly, after a decade of silence, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. They wanted back in. They wanted to reconnect. They wanted to meet my daughter, but they had no idea who her father was. And when they found out, when they discovered that the man I'd been protecting all these years was Dominic Prescott, the CEO of the company my father works for, the billionaire my father spent 10 years trying to impress, everything changed. This is the story of how I went from their biggest mistake to their worst nightmare. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, if you've ever been told you weren't good enough, leave a heart in the comments. You're not alone. And please, stay until the end of this story, because what happened at that dinner table when my family finally met my husband, it's the kind of justice we all dream about. Hit that like button if you believe karma is real, and subscribe because I've got more stories about people who thought they could break me and learned otherwise. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. Today, I live in a gated mansion in one of Minneapolis's most exclusive neighborhoods. My daughter, Ember, attends the best private school in the state. My husband owns a portfolio worth more than my parents will see in 10 lifetimes. But 11 years ago, I was their Cinderella. My name is Harper Sinclair, and I grew up in a modest suburban home where appearances were everything. My father, Ronald, worked as a regional manager at Apex Ventures, a prestigious investment firm. It wasn't a Fortune 500 CEO position, but in our conservative neighborhood, it was enough to make my parents feel superior. My mother, Judith, spent her days at book clubs and charity luncheons, always dressed like she was auditioning for a lifestyle magazine. And my older sister, Tiffany, she was the golden child who could do no wrong. When Tiffany got pregnant at 19 by some guy who disappeared the moment he heard the news, my parents didn't blink. They welcomed her daughter, Kaylee, with open arms. Tiffany moved back home, unemployed, and my parents cooed over their first grandchild like she was royalty. But me? I was expected to contribute. At 16, I started paying rent. Not because we needed the money, because they said it would teach me responsibility. I worked part-time at a cafe after school, and every penny went to them. I did laundry, cooked dinners, scrubbed bathrooms. Meanwhile, Tiffany slept until noon, and my parents funded her online shopping addiction. Harper needs to learn the value of hard work, my mother would say, sipping wine while I mopped the kitchen floor. I learned all right. I learned that I was invisible unless I was useful. Then I met Dominic. I was 17, working a catering event at one of Minneapolis's luxury hotels. It was some corporate gala. Champagne, tuxedos, people who smelled like money. I was refilling hors d'oeuvres when I accidentally bumped into a man in a navy suit. "I'm so sorry," I stammered, expecting him to snap at me. Instead, he smiled. "No harm done. What's your name?" "Harper." "Harper," he repeated, like he was memorizing it. "I'm Dominic." I didn't know who he was then. I just knew he had kind eyes and didn't treat me like the help. We talked for 20 minutes before my supervisor yelled at me to get back to work. But before I left, he slipped me his business card. Dominic Prescott, CEO, Apex Ventures. My heart stopped. That was my father's company. The man my father worshipped from a distance. The name he dropped at every dinner party to sound important. I should have thrown the card away, but I didn't. We started texting, then coffee, then stolen afternoons when I could escape my parents' house. Dominic was 28, 10 years older than me, but he never made me feel young or stupid. He listened when I talked about my dreams of going to college, of leaving that suffocating house. You deserve better than how they treat you, he told me one snowy afternoon, holding my hand across a quiet cafe table. They're my family, I said weakly. Family doesn't mean they get to break you. I fell in love with him. Hard, fast, completely. And when I turned 18, I gave him everything. 3 months later, I was pregnant. I remember staring at the positive test in a gas station bathroom, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I was terrified. Dominic and I had been so careful, but life had other plans. I called him immediately. Harper, what's wrong? I'm pregnant. Silence. Then, where are you? I'm coming to get you. He found me sitting on a curb, crying. He knelt in front of me, took my freezing hands in his, and said the words that changed everything. We're going to be okay. I love you. I want this baby. I want you. But my parents will figure it out, together. I wanted to believe him, but I knew my parents. I knew what they'd say. Still, I had to try. That night, I sat them down in the living room. Tiffany was there too, filing her nails on the couch like she was watching reality TV. My father looked irritated that I'd interrupted his evening news. My mother's face was already pinched with suspicion. I need to tell you something, I began, my voice shaking. I'm pregnant. The silence was deafening. Then my father exploded. Are you kidding me? He shot to his feet, his face purple with rage. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Ronald, my mother started, but he cut her off. No, Judith. We've given this girl a roof over her head, food, opportunities, and she throws it away to become some teenage statistic. I'm 18, Dad, and I'm in love. The father wants to be involved. Oh, I'm sure he does. Tiffany sneered. Let me guess. Some loser from your cafe job? You're going to trap us into raising another kid we can't afford? You raised Kaylee, I shot back. You didn't kick Tiffany out. That was different, my mother said coldly. Tiffany made a mistake. This is a pattern, Harper. You've always been difficult. Difficult? Tears streamed down my face. I've worked since I was 16. I've paid you rent. I've done everything you've asked. And now you're pregnant, my father said flatly. You want us to support you and a baby? Absolutely not. I have someone. I don't care who you have. He pointed at the door. You made an adult decision? Fine. You can handle adult consequences. Pack your things. You're out. I stared at him, unable to breathe. You're kicking me out? Tonight, my mother confirmed. We won't be embarrassed by this. I looked at Tiffany, desperate for any shred of humanity. She just smirked. Should have kept your legs closed, Harper. 2 hours later, I stood on the snowy sidewalk with 2 suitcases, watching my childhood home disappear behind me. I pulled out my phone with frozen fingers and called the only person I had left. Dominic, can you come get me? I'm already on my way. But here's what my family didn't know, what they couldn't have imagined in their wildest dreams. The man coming to save me? He wasn't some broke cafe worker or college dropout. He was the most powerful man my father had ever met, and I was about to become his wife. Dominic picked me up 20 minutes later. I'll never forget the look on his face when he saw me standing there, suitcases at my feet, mascara streaked down my cheeks, shivering in the Minnesota cold. He didn't say a word. He just pulled me into his arms and held me until I stopped shaking. You're coming home with me, he said quietly, and you're never going back there. Dominic, I can't just... Harper, he tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're carrying my child. You're the woman I love. There is no universe where I let you face this alone. Do you understand me? I nodded, tears spilling over again. He loaded my suitcases into his Mercedes, cranked the heat to full blast, and drove us to his penthouse downtown. It wasn't until we were inside, standing in his enormous living room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, that the reality hit me. This was my life now, and I had a decision to make. "Harper," Dominic said carefully, sitting beside me on his leather couch. "I need to know something. Who are your parents? What's your father's full name?" My stomach dropped. "Why?" "Because if they're going to treat you like this, I want to know who they are. I want to..." He stopped, jaw clenched. "I want to handle this." I knew what that meant. Dominic Prescott wasn't just wealthy. He was powerful. One phone call and he could ruin someone's career, their reputation, their entire life. And my father worked for him. "Ronald Sinclair," I whispered. Dominic froze. "Ronald Sinclair? Regional manager, Apex Ventures?" "Yes." He stood abruptly, running his hands through his hair. "Your father is Ron Sinclair? The guy who just gave that presentation last quarter? You know him?" "I have 1,200 employees, Harper. I don't know everyone personally, but I know department heads and managers." His voice was hard now, cold. "That man threw you out tonight? His own daughter? Dominic, please. I'm going to destroy him." "No!" I shot to my feet, panic clawing at my chest. "You can't. If you fire him, if you do anything, they'll know. They'll figure out you're the father and..." "Good. Let them know." "No, Dominic, please." I grabbed his arms, desperate. "If they find out I'm with you, they'll say I'm a gold digger. They'll say I trapped you. They'll make it so much worse." "I don't care what they say." "I do." Tears poured down my face. "I don't want them back in my life. I don't want their apologies or their excuses. I just want them gone. And if you fire my father, if you do anything, they'll come crawling back. Not because they love me, but because they want access to you." Dominic stared at me for a long moment, his jaw working. Finally, he exhaled. "So, what do you want to do?" "Nothing," I said quietly. "I want to disappear. I want to build a life with you and our baby, and I want them to never be part of it. And your father just keeps his job after what he did? For now." I placed my hand on my barely there baby bump. "Let him work for you. Let him have no idea that the woman he threw away is sleeping in your bed. Let him bow and scrape and stress over impressing a man who's already mine." A slow, dark smile crossed Dominic's face. "You're more ruthless than I thought." "I learned from the best family," I said bitterly. He pulled me close, pressing his lips to my forehead. "Okay, we do this your way. But Harper, the moment you change your mind, the moment you want me to end him, just say the word. I will." But I didn't. Not for years. Ember was born on a freezing January morning. Dominic was there, holding my hand, whispering that I was strong, that I was incredible. When they placed our daughter in my arms, tiny, perfect, with Dominic's dark eyes and my nose, I felt something break open in my chest. "Hi, baby girl," I whispered. "I'm your mama, and I promise you'll never feel unwanted, not for a single second." Dominic kissed my temple, his voice thick. "She's perfect. You're perfect." We named her Ember because she was born from the ashes of my old life, a spark of something beautiful and new, and we built a world around her. Dominic and I got married 6 months later in a quiet civil ceremony. No guests, no announcements, just us and a judge in matching gold bands. I took his last name legally, but kept Sinclair publicly to stay invisible. We moved to a sprawling mansion in an exclusive gated community 30 minutes outside Minneapolis, far enough from my parents' suburb that I'd never accidentally run into them, close enough that Dominic could still run Apex Ventures. He worked from home often, never wanting to miss Ember's milestones. Her first word, her first steps, every scraped knee and bedtime story. I missed so much with my own childhood, he told me once. Ember asleep on his chest. I won't miss hers. I fell more in love with him every single day, but the secret ate at me. For 5 years, I watched Dominic go to work every day. I knew Ronald Sinclair was there, attending meetings, giving presentations, completely oblivious that his boss was married to the daughter he'd thrown away. Sometimes I'd see Ronald's name in Dominic's emails and feel sick. "You okay?" Dominic would ask, noticing my expression. "Fine," I'd lie, but I wasn't fine. Then, when Ember was 4 years old, I broke. We were having dinner, Ember chattering about preschool, Dominic laughing at her toddler logic, when I suddenly blurted out, "My father works for you." Dominic's fork stopped midway to his mouth. "What?" "Ronald Sinclair. My father. He's your regional manager. He has been this whole time." The silence was deafening. "Harper." His voice was dangerously calm. "Are you telling me that for 5 years, I've been signing that man's paychecks, approving his raises, shaking his hand at company events?" "Yes. And you didn't think to mention this?" "I was protecting him," I snapped. "I didn't want you to fire him because then they'd know and—" "You were protecting him?" Dominic's chair scraped back. "Harper, that man threw you into the street pregnant, and you've been protecting his career?" "I was protecting us." Tears streamed down my face. "I didn't want them in our lives. I didn't want their toxicity anywhere near Ember." Dominic paced the kitchen, fury radiating off him. Ember watched us with wide, confused eyes. "Daddy mad?" she asked quietly. "No, baby." I picked her up, holding her close. "Daddy's just surprised." Dominic stopped pacing, looking at our daughter. His expression softened slightly. "Harper," he said finally, "I need some air." He walked out onto the terrace, and I stood there holding Ember, wondering if I'd just destroyed everything. But 20 minutes later, he came back inside. "I'm not firing him," he said quietly. "Not yet. But Harper, one day that man is going to pay for what he did, and when that day comes, I want to be the one looking him in the eye when his world falls apart." I nodded, relief flooding through me. "One day," I agreed. "We just didn't know it would take 5 more years." For 10 years, my family never reached out. Not once. No birthday cards for Ember. No Christmas texts. No "how are you doing" messages. Nothing. And honestly, I was grateful. I'd built a beautiful life without them. Ember was thriving, happy, confident, loved. She attended Westman Academy, the most prestigious private school in Minnesota. She took piano lessons, horseback riding, spoke conversational French. Dominic and I had given her everything I never had, but we'd been careful, so careful. We didn't flaunt our wealth publicly. I didn't post on social media. My accounts were locked down, private, invisible. Dominic kept his personal life separate from his public persona as CEO. To the outside world, he was unmarried, childless, married to his work. Our family was our secret sanctuary, until Ember turned 10 and asked for Instagram. "Everyone at school has it, Mom," she begged. "Please, I promise I'll be careful." I should have said no, but she was responsible, mature for her age, and I thought, after 10 years of silence, surely my family had moved on. Surely they'd forgotten about me entirely. So I said yes. Ember's account was private, of course. Only her school friends could see it. She posted photos of her artwork, her horse, silly selfies with her best friends, harmless. Except one of her friends' mothers was connected to someone, who knew Tiffany. And Tiffany has always been a professional stalker. The photo that changed everything was innocent. Ember posted it on a Tuesday afternoon. Her and 2 friends at Westmont's spring gala, wearing elegant dresses, laughing in front of the school's marble fountain. The caption read, "Best night with my besties." Within hours, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Harper, is this you? Is that your daughter?" My blood ran cold. Unknown number. "It's Tiffany. Please respond. We need to talk." I blocked the number immediately, but 5 minutes later, another text came through from a different number. "Mom, Harper, sweetheart, it's your mother. Tiffany showed me a photo. That beautiful girl, is she yours? Please talk to us. We miss you so much." Miss me? They hadn't missed me for a decade. Then my phone rang. Dad's name flashed across the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called 6 more times that night. Then Mom. Then Tiffany again from yet another number. The voicemails were all the same syrupy, fake sweetness. Harper, honey, we made mistakes. We want to make things right. Your daughter is beautiful. We'd love to meet her. Family is everything. Let's put the past behind us. I deleted every single one, but they didn't stop. Over the next week, they found my email. They sent Facebook messages to old accounts I'd abandoned. They even showed up at the cafe where I used to work a decade ago, asking if anyone knew how to reach me. Finally, Mom sent a letter to my old P.O. box, one I'd kept for years out of paranoia, though I never thought I'd actually need it. The envelope was thick, expensive stationery. Inside was a handwritten letter in her perfect cursive. Dearest Harper, I know it's been far too long. Your father and I have spent these years regretting how we handled things. We were scared, overwhelmed, and we made terrible decisions that we'll regret for the rest of our lives. But seeing that photo of your daughter, our granddaughter, broke something open in us. She's absolutely beautiful, Harper. She has your smile. We know we don't deserve your forgiveness, but we're begging you. Please give us a chance to make amends. Let us meet her. Let us be the grandparents we should have been from the beginning. Tiffany and Kaylee want to meet you too. Kaylee is 15 now. She's asked about you so many times over the years. Please, Harper. Family is all we have in this world. Let's have dinner. Just one dinner. That's all we ask. With all our love, Mom and Dad, I read it 3 times, my hands shaking with rage. Family is all we have? They'd had me, and they'd thrown me away like trash. I showed the letter to Dominic that night after Ember went to bed. He read it silently, his jaw tight, then crumpled it in his fist. Tell them no, he said flatly. I want to, I said. But what? I looked up at him, and something dark and cold settled in my chest. What if we said yes? Dominic's eyes narrowed. Harper, not because I want them back, I said quickly, but because they have no idea who you are. They have no idea what my life looks like. And I think it's time they found out. A slow, dangerous smile spread across Dominic's face. You want to show them. I want to destroy them. My voice was steady now, calm. I want them to sit across from me at dinner, thinking they can manipulate their way back into my life. And then I want to watch their faces when they realize exactly who they threw away. Dominic leaned back, studying me. You've been thinking about this. For 10 years. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. I'll make reservations. Somewhere nice. Somewhere public. His eyes met mine. Dark and fierce. And Harper, when this is over, your father will never work for me again. Good, I whispered, because the time for protecting them was over. I sent a single text to my mother's number. Fine. One dinner. Saturday night, 7 p.m. I'll send you the address. Her response came in seconds. Oh, Harper, thank you. We can't wait to see you. We love you so much. I stared at those words. We love you so much, and felt nothing but ice. They had no idea what was coming. I chose Lumiere, the most expensive restaurant in Minneapolis. The kind of place where entrees start at $80 and reservations require a 3-month wait list. Unless, of course, you're married to Dominic Prescott, in which case the owner personally escorts you to the best table in the house. I wore a black silk dress that cost more than my parents' monthly mortgage, Cartier bracelet, Louboutin heels, hair and makeup professionally done. I looked like money, because I was. Dominic had wanted to come with me from the start, to walk in together and watch their faces, but I'd asked him to wait. Let me sit with them first, I'd said. Let them think they're in control, and then you walk in. He'd kissed my forehead, his hand protective on my waist. 20 minutes. That's all you get alone with them. Then I'm coming in, and this ends. 20 minutes is all I need. I arrived at 7 p.m. sharp. The hostess led me through the restaurant, all warm lighting, white tablecloths, and the quiet murmur of wealthy patrons. My family was already seated at a corner table. Mom spotted me first. Her hand flew to her mouth, tears instantly springing to her eyes. Harper! She stood, arms outstretched. Oh, my baby, look at you! I stopped 3 feet away, not accepting the hug. Her arms dropped awkwardly. Dad stood too, his smile tight. "Harper, you look, well." Tiffany stayed seated, eyeing my dress with barely concealed jealousy. Beside her, Kaylee, now 15, blonde, scrolling on her phone, barely glanced up. "Sit, please," Mom said, gesturing to the empty chair. Her voice was sugary sweet, like we were old friends catching up. "We ordered wine." "Oh, wait, do you still drink wine? I don't even know what you like anymore." "I'm fine, thank you." I sat gracefully, folding my hands in my lap. The table fell into awkward silence. Dad cleared his throat. "So, Harper, it's been a long time. 10 years, I said calmly. 10 years, 2 months, and 17 days. Mom flinched. "We deserved that." "Did you?" I tilted my head, because I didn't hear an apology. I heard "we miss you, and let's move forward." But I don't recall hearing, "We're sorry we threw you out pregnant in the middle of winter." "Harper, we were overwhelmed," Dad started. "Overwhelmed," I repeated. Interesting word choice. Tiffany got pregnant at 19 and you threw her a baby shower. I got pregnant at 18 and you threw me out. What was the difference, Dad? Tiffany's fork clattered against her plate. "Can we not do this? We came here to reconnect, not rehash ancient history." "Ancient history?" I laughed, cold and sharp. "Tiffany, you're 34 years old, unemployed, and still living with Mom and Dad. Meanwhile, I've built an entire life. So forgive me if I'm not interested in pretending the past didn't happen." "Girls, please," Mom interjected, her voice quavering. "We're family. We're not family." My voice cut through the air like glass. Family doesn't abandon each other. You made that very clear a decade ago. Silence. Then Dad leaned forward, his expression shifting from apologetic to irritated. "Look, Harper, we made mistakes. We admit that, but you're not innocent here either. You got pregnant by some random guy, refused to tell us who he was, and expected us to just, what, support you forever? Random guy?" I kept my face perfectly neutral. "Is that what you think?" "Well, you never told us," Tiffany said smugly. "So, yeah, we assumed it was some loser who bailed on you. And yet here I am," I said softly, "at Lumiere, wearing a dress that cost more than your car, Tiffany. Clearly, someone didn't bail." Mom's eyes lit up, not with happiness, but with calculation. "So you are with someone? The father?" "I am." "That's wonderful." Her voice pitched higher, desperate. "See? Everything worked out, and now we can all be a family again. We'd love to meet him. And your daughter? What's her name?" "Ember." "Ember," Mom repeated, like she was tasting the word. "Beautiful name. How old is she now?" 10. "Kaylee's 15, Tiffany offered. "They're cousins. They should meet. We could do play dates, family dinners." "Why now?" I interrupted. They blinked at me. "Why now?" I repeated. "You had 10 years. You knew I was pregnant. You could have reached out when Ember was born, or when she turned 1, or 5, or any moment in the past decade. So why now?" "We told you," Dad said stiffly. "We regret what happened." "You saw the photo," I said flatly. "You saw Ember at Westmont Academy in a designer dress, and you realized I'm not living in poverty. That's what this is about." "That's not fair," Mom started. "Isn't it?" I leaned back in my chair. "Be honest. If you'd seen a photo of me working at a diner with Ember in thrift store clothes, would you be here?" The silence was deafening. "That's what I thought." "Okay, fine," Tiffany snapped, her fake sweetness evaporating. "You clearly landed on your feet. Good for you. But don't act like you're better than us just because you found some rich guy to take care of you." "Some rich guy," I echoed, a smile playing at my lips. "Yeah," Tiffany continued, emboldened. "I mean, congrats on the sugar daddy, Harper, but..." "Sugar daddy?" I laughed, a genuine delighted sound. "Oh, Tiffany, you really have no idea, do you?" "No idea about what?" Dad's tone turned suspicious. "Harper, who is this man? What does he do?" He's in investments, I said casually. Venture capital, very successful. Investments. Dad's eyes narrowed. What company? You wouldn't know it. Try me. I work in the industry, remember? Oh, I remember, I said softly. You're a regional manager at Apex Ventures. How could I forget? You've mentioned it at every family gathering since I was 12. Dad puffed up slightly, proud despite everything. Apex is one of the top firms in the country. I've worked there for 18 years. Excellent company. Your boyfriend couldn't possibly... Husband, I corrected. Mom gasped. You're married. For 9 years. Quietly. Privately. Because I didn't want you there. The table went silent. Anyway, I continued, glancing at my watch. He should be here any minute. I told him 7:20. He's very punctual. You invited him? Mom's voice pitched higher, panicked suddenly. She smoothed her hair, straightened her napkin. Oh, Harper, you should have warned us. We would have... What? Dressed better? Practiced your fake smiles? I met her eyes coldly. Don't worry. He already knows exactly who you are. Dad shifted uncomfortably. What's that supposed to mean? It means I told him everything. How you threw me out. How you chose Tiffany over me at every turn. How you didn't care if I lived or died as long as I didn't embarrass you. Harper, that's not... Mom started, but she stopped mid-sentence, her eyes fixed on something behind me. I turned slightly and saw the hostess approaching our table, leading a tall man in a charcoal Tom Ford suit. Dominic. He moved through the restaurant like he owned it, which, technically, he had invested in it, so he partially did. Every head turned. Women watched him. Men straightened unconsciously, and my family's faces went from confused to shocked to absolutely pale, because they recognized him, not as my husband, but as Ronald Sinclair's boss, Dominic Prescott, CEO of Apex Ventures. He reached our table, his expression calm and controlled, though I saw the dangerous glint in his eyes. Sorry I'm late, darling, he said smoothly, leaning down to kiss my cheek. His hand rested possessively on my shoulder. Then he looked at my family, really looked at them, and smiled. It was not a kind smile. You must be Harper's family. His voice was silk over steel. I've heard so much about you. The color drained from my father's face. Mr. Prescott, he stammered, half rising from his chair. His napkin fell to the floor. I didn't know you'd be... What are you... Sit down, Ronald. Dominic's voice wasn't loud, but it carried absolute authority. Dad sat immediately, like a puppet with cut strings. Mom looked between Dominic and me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Harper, I don't understand. Why is Mr. Prescott here? Isn't it obvious, Judith? Dominic pulled out the chair beside me and sat, his posture relaxed but radiating power. I'm here because my wife invited me. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. Tiffany was the first to break it. Wife? Her voice came out as a squeak. What the hell are you talking about? Harper, Dominic said, taking my hand and bringing it to his lips, is my wife. Has been for 9 years. That's not possible, Dad said weakly. Harper, this is some kind of joke, right? You're not actually married to Dominic Prescott? I finished calmly. Yes, Dad, I am. Have been since Ember was 6 months old, though we've been together for 11 years total. Mom's hand trembled as she reached for her wine glass. 11 years? But that would mean, Dominic said coldly, that when Harper came to you 10 years ago, pregnant and terrified asking for help, the father of her child was me. The weight of that statement hung in the air like a guillotine. No, Dad whispered. No, you're lying. Am I? Dominic's smile was razor sharp. Ember looks exactly like me, Ronald. Same eyes, same stubborn chin, though she has Harper's kindness. Thank God she didn't inherit anything from your side of the family. But Harper never said. Mom's voice was barely audible. She never told us who the father was. We thought We assumed. You assumed it was some deadbeat, I said. Some loser who'd abandoned me. You didn't even ask his name before you threw me out into the snow. Because you wouldn't tell us. Dad's voice rose, defensive now. You refused to say who he was. Because he was your boss, I shot back. Because I was 18 years old, terrified. And I knew if I told you the truth, you'd either think I was lying or you'd try to use it for your own benefit. That's not, isn't it? My voice was ice. Be honest, Dad. If I'd told you that night that I was pregnant with Dominic Prescott's baby, what would you have done? Silence. Would you have supported me? Helped me? Or would you have seen dollar signs and career advancement? Dad's jaw worked, but no words came out. Dominic leaned forward, his eyes locked on my father. Let me paint you a picture, Ronald. 10 years ago, your daughter, pregnant, scared, crying, came to you for help. And you called her a disgrace. You said she'd ruin your reputation. You threw her out of your house with 2 suitcases and not a shred of compassion. We were shocked. Mom tried. Shocked? Dominic's voice cut like a blade. Tiffany got pregnant at 19. You threw her a baby shower. You let her move back home rent-free. You raised her daughter while she did nothing. But Harper, who'd been paying you rent since she was 16. Harper, who cleaned your house and cooked your meals while Tiffany slept until noon. You threw her away like garbage. Tiffany's face was bright red. This is insane. Harper, you can't actually expect us to believe. Believe what? I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and slid it across the table. That's our marriage certificate. Our anniversary is January 15th. We got married at the courthouse with just a judge present because I didn't want any of you there. Mom picked up the phone with shaking hands, staring at the document. Tears streamed down her face. Harper, baby, if you'd known. What? My voice was sharp. You would have treated me differently? You would have been kind? You would have actually acted like parents? Yes, Mom sobbed. Of course we would have. You would have used me, I said flatly. You would have seen Dominic's money and power, and you would have latched on like parasites, just like you're doing right now. That's not fair. Dad's voice cracked. Harper, we're your family. No. Dominic's voice was absolute. You were her DNA, that's all. Family doesn't abandon each other when things get difficult. Family doesn't choose one daughter over another. Family doesn't throw a pregnant teenager into the street in the middle of winter. We made a mistake, Mom wailed. We were scared and stupid and we made a terrible mistake. But we want to fix it now. Please, Harper. Please let us fix it? I laughed bitterly. How exactly do you plan to fix 10 years, Mom? 10 years of birthdays you missed. 10 years of milestones you weren't there for. Ember's first word. Her first steps. Her first day of school. You weren't there for any of it. But we can be there now. Mom reached across the table desperately. We can be grandparents now. We can... Ember has everything she needs, Dominic said coldly. She has 2 parents who love her. She has the best education money can buy. She has stability, security, and most importantly, she has never, not for 1 second, felt unwanted. The emphasis on that last word made Mom flinch. Dad turned to Dominic, his expression shifting to something calculating. Mr. Prescott, I understand you're upset on Harper's behalf, but surely we can all move past this. I've been a loyal employee for 18 years. My performance reviews have been exemplary. I've never asked for special treatment. Until now, Dominic said softly. Dad froze. You're about to ask for special treatment now, aren't you, Ronald? Now that you know I'm your son-in-law, now that you realize your granddaughter is my daughter, you're wondering how you can leverage this for a promotion, better office, maybe a VP position? Dad's face went from pale to red. I would never... Yes, you would. Dominic's smile was cold. It's who you are. It's who all of you are. You didn't come here tonight because you missed Harper. You came because you saw that photo of Ember and realized she was wealthy. You smelled money. That's not true, Tiffany snapped. We're family. We have a right. You have no rights, I interrupted. None. You gave up every right when you chose to throw me away. Harper, please. Mom was sobbing now, mascara streaming down her face. We love you. We've always loved you. If this is love, I said quietly, then I want nothing to do with it. Dominic stood, buttoning his suit jacket. This dinner is over. Harper and I are leaving. Wait, Dad shot to his feet. Mr. Prescott, please. Can we talk privately? Man to man? No. Please. My career. Your career, Dominic said, his voice dropping to something dangerous, is the least of your concerns right now. Dad's face went white. What does that mean? It means, Dominic said calmly, that for 10 years I've known what you did. For 10 years I've signed your paychecks, approved your raises, smiled at you in meetings, all while knowing you threw my pregnant wife into the street. Do you have any idea how difficult it's been not to destroy you immediately? Dominic, please. Harper asked me not to, he continued, ignoring Dad's plea. She said she didn't want you in our lives at all, not even in revenge. So I respected her wishes. I let you keep your job. I let you think you were safe. He leaned forward slightly, and Dad actually took a step back. But now you've forced your way back into her life. You've contacted her, harassed her, manipulated her into this dinner. So the protection is over, Ronald. What are you saying? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. I'm saying that on Monday morning, you're going to receive an email from HR. You'll be reassigned, demoted. Your salary will be cut significantly. And if you so much as whisper about your connection to me, if you try to leverage my name in any way, I will have you terminated for cause. No severance, no references, nothing. You can't do that, Tiffany shouted. That's discrimination or something. It's not, Dominic said mildly. It's a business decision. Ronald's performance has been adequate, but Apex Ventures demands excellence, not adequacy. Isn't that right, Ronald? Dad couldn't speak. He just stood there, trembling. Mom grabbed my hand desperately. Harper, please, don't let him do this. Your father has worked so hard. I pulled my hand away. He should have thought about that before he threw his daughter away. Harper, we're leaving. I stood, smoothing my dress. Don't contact me again. Don't try to see Ember. Don't show up at her school or our home. If you do, we'll get a restraining order. You can't keep us from our granddaughter, Tiffany screeched. We have rights. You have nothing, Dominic said flatly. And if you attempt to pursue any legal action, I have a team of lawyers who will bury you in paperwork for the next decade. Are we clear? Silence. I asked if we were clear. Yes, Dad whispered. We're clear. Good. Dominic took my hand, and we walked out of that restaurant together. Behind us, I heard Mom's sobs, Dad's angry muttering, Tiffany's shrill voice saying something about ungrateful and stuck up. I didn't look back. Monday morning came faster than my family expected. Dominic left for the office at 7 a.m., kissing me and Ember goodbye like it was any other day. But I knew what was waiting for my father when he arrived at Apex Ventures. I didn't have to wait long for confirmation. At 9:47 a.m., my phone buzzed with a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Another. By 10:15, I had 17 missed calls and 12 voicemails. I put the phone on speaker and played the first one while I made coffee. Harper, it's Dad. Please call me back. Something's happened at work. I need to talk to Dominic. It's urgent. Please. His voice was strained, panicked. The second voicemail was Mom. Harper, your father just called me crying. They've demoted him. They've moved him to some basement office in logistics. His salary's been cut by 40%. Harper, please, you have to talk to Dominic. This is our livelihood. I deleted it and moved to the next one. You vindictive bitch. Tiffany. Of course. You're really going to destroy Dad's career because your feelings got hurt 10 years ago? Grow up, Harper. We're struggling here. Mom and Dad can't afford their mortgage on Dad's new salary, but I guess you don't care, do you? Now that you're living in your mansion with your rich husband, you're pathetic. I smiled and deleted that one too. The messages continued throughout the day. Angry texts from Tiffany, sobbing voicemails from Mom, increasingly desperate messages from Dad, begging me to be reasonable, to think about family. I blocked all their numbers, but they didn't stop. Tuesday afternoon, they showed up at Westmont Academy. The headmistress called me immediately. "Mrs. Prescott, we have 3 individuals at the gate claiming to be Ember's grandparents. They're requesting to see her. Should we—" "No," I said firmly. "They are not to have any contact with my daughter. If they return, call the police." "Understood. We'll handle it." 20 minutes later, Mom texted from a new number. "We just want to see her, Harper. 5 minutes. That's all we're asking. She's our granddaughter." I replied once, "She's my daughter, and you lost the right to know her the day you threw me out. If you come near her again, I'm filing a restraining order." That evening, Dominic came home and found me staring out our bedroom window. "They went to Ember's school," I said quietly. His jaw tightened. "I heard. Security called me. They've been added to the restricted list." "Good." He wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "How are you feeling?" "I don't know." I leaned back against him. Part of me feels powerful, like I finally got justice, but another part feels guilty. "No, not guilty." I turned to face him. "Empty, maybe?" I spent 10 years imagining this moment, and now that it's here, I just feel tired. "Do you want me to back off?" he asked carefully. "I can restore your father's position." "No." My voice was firm. He made his choices. Now he lives with them, just like I had to live with mine. Dominic searched my face. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." Wednesday brought the Facebook posts. Mom created a lengthy public post about estranged children and grandparents' rights. It was vague enough not to name us directly, but clear enough that anyone who knew our family would understand. Sometimes children grow up and forget where they came from. They forget the sacrifices their parents made. They forget that family should always come first, no matter what mistakes were made in the past. To those struggling with estrangement, you are not alone. Hold on to hope that one day, your children will see the truth. The comments were filled with sympathy from her friends. "Stay strong, Judith. Some children are so ungrateful." "Praying for reconciliation." I showed Dominic that night. "Want me to have our PR team handle it?" he asked. "No," I said. "Let her have her Facebook pity party. The people who matter know the truth." But Tiffany took it further. She started a GoFundMe. "Help my parents during financial hardship." The description was a masterpiece of manipulation. My elderly parents are facing unexpected financial difficulties after my father was suddenly demoted at work for no clear reason. They've always been hardworking, dedicated people who raised their family with love. Now they're struggling to make ends meet. Any contribution helps. Thank you for your generosity. It raised $347 in 2 days. Dominic had his lawyers send a cease and desist letter by Friday. The GoFundMe was taken down by Saturday morning. That weekend, we got the last message. It was a text from Dad's number, but the tone was different. Calmer, more resigned. "Harper, this is your father. I won't contact you again after this. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, truly sorry. I was a terrible father to you, and I'm paying the price now. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just hope that one day you find peace, and I hope Ember grows up knowing she's loved, even if it's not by us. Take care of yourself." I stared at that message for a long time. Dominic found me sitting on our bed, phone in hand. "What is it?" I showed him. He read it silently. "What do you want to do?" "Nothing," I said finally. "There's nothing left to do." I deleted the message, and I never heard from them again. 3 months after that final text, Dominic and I made a decision. We were done hiding. For 11 years, we'd kept our relationship private, secret, hidden from the world because I'd been protecting people who never deserved protection. But now we were ready to step into the light. Dominic announced it at Apex Ventures' annual shareholders meeting. I was there, sitting in the front row with Ember beside me. She wore a navy dress that matched her father's tie, her dark hair pulled back in a neat braid. She was nervous, her first time at one of Daddy's big work things. "You okay, baby?" I whispered. She nodded, squeezing my hand. "Is Daddy going to talk about us?" "Yes. Is that okay?" She thought about it, then smiled. "Yeah, I'm tired of keeping secrets." My heart swelled. "Me too, sweetheart." When Dominic took the stage, the room fell silent. 200 investors, executives, and board members waiting to hear about quarterly earnings and strategic initiatives. Instead, he started with this: "Before we discuss business, I have a personal announcement. For those of you who've worked with me over the years, you know I keep my private life separate from my professional one. But today, I'd like to introduce you to the two most important people in my world." He gestured to us. "My wife, Harper, and my daughter, Ember." The room erupted in surprised murmurs. Ember and I stood. Dominic's eyes found mine across the room, warm and proud. "Harper and I have been married for 9 years, together for 11, and Ember just turned 10 last month. They are my foundation, my purpose, and the reason I work as hard as I do." Applause rippled through the audience. Genuine, warm. I'm sharing this now because I'm tired of hiding the best parts of my life, and because I want Ember to grow up knowing that her family isn't something to hide. It's something to celebrate. He paused, his gaze steady. "So if you see us at company events from now on, or if you see photos of my family in the news, know that this is who I am. Not just a CEO, but a husband and a father. And I'm damn proud of both." The applause grew louder. Ember beamed beside me, her nervousness melting away. After the meeting, people approached us. Executives I'd never met, board members, investors. They shook my hand, complimented Ember, welcomed us warmly, and in the back of the room, I saw him, Ronald Sinclair. He was standing near the exit, wearing his now standard logistics department badge instead of the executive floor access he used to have. His suit was older, less expensive. His shoulders slumped. Our eyes met across the crowded room. For a moment, I saw something in his face. Regret, maybe. Pain. The weight of everything he'd lost. Then he turned and walked out. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. No sadness. Just peace. That night, we had dinner at home. Just the three of us. Ember chattered excitedly about the meeting. About how cool it was that people knew about her now. About how her friends at school were going to think it was so awesome, that her dad was famous. "I'm not famous, sweetheart," Dominic laughed. "I'm just boring business guy." "You're not boring, Daddy. You're important." "You know what's important?" He reached across the table, taking both our hands. "This, right here, you two. That's all that matters." Ember wrinkled her nose. "That's super cheesy, Dad." "It's true, though." Later, after Ember was asleep, Dominic and I stood on our terrace, looking out at the snow-covered landscape. The city lights twinkled in the distance. "Do you regret any of it?" he asked quietly. "The way we handled your family?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "They made their choices. We made ours. And look where we are now. Where are we?" I turned to face him. This man who'd caught me when I fell, who'd loved me when I felt unlovable, who'd given me everything I'd been denied by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. "We're home," I said simply. "We're finally home." He pulled me close, kissing my forehead. "Yes, we are." And we were. Not because of the mansion, or the money, or the revenge, but because we'd built something real, something strong, something that couldn't be taken away by toxic people or painful pasts. We'd built a family, a real one, and that was worth more than anything. Some people spend their whole lives seeking approval from people who will never give it. I spent 10 years building a life with people who already loved me exactly as I was. My parents wanted me to believe I was worthless without them, Instead, I proved I was priceless without them. And you know what? I've never looked back. So that's my story. If this touched you in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe. I share stories like this every week about people who refuse to let their past define their future. And here's my question for you. Would you have forgiven your family after something like this? Or would you have done exactly what I did? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Ember is thriving. Dominic and I are stronger than ever. And my family? They're exactly where they chose to be. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. See you in the next one.